offense, which is headed due south in recent weeks. When the game's on the line, the Rams welcome the barefoot of Mike Lansford, anytime, anywhere. Speaking of winning games late, the cardiac pack can smell the playoffs. But today, they run headlong into another upstart squad, the Kansas City Chiefs, whose defense has been scalping opponents down the stretch. The Patriots defense felt it was scalped before the season ever started. 3 potential Pro Bowlers won't make any tackles all year. Football's toughest position could be tight end. The path to success is one big minefield. The path to success for Jerry Rice, believe it or not, is only beginning.
I feel like I'm not at my peak right now, and it's more to come from Jerry Rice. I'm serious.
It's time to get serious next on NFL Game Day. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to NFL Game Day, the time of the season we commonly call crunch time. And to help us in the crunch, our usual fun bunch of Tom Jackson, Captain Crunch himself, Pete Axthelm, Fred Edelstein will be joining us shortly. On Christmas night, we will have the answers to the jigsaw puzzle that is the NFL playoff picture. And with 15 teams at 500 or better and a couple of others just below the Mendoza line still alive, the majority of ball clubs are hoping that Santa decks their halls with boughs of postseason holly. If the playoffs were to start right now, this is the way it would look. The NFC divisional leaders, Eagles would win the tiebreak with the Giants. Vikings would win the tiebreak with the Pack. Of course, the Niners are 2 up on the Rams out west. If the playoffs were to start today, Giants at Rams would be your wild card game. With the Packers falling into the wild card group, the Skins need a couple of things to happen, but they can win their last 3 games. And we just put Chicago and New Orleans up because we're nice and they're mathematically alive. In the AFC, the Bills have the 1-game lead in the East over the Dolphins. The Oilers now, the half-game lead over the Browns in the Central. The Broncos have clinched. That's like ancient history. The wild card race, if the playoffs were to start today, Raiders at Browns would be your wild card game. Although Miami and Cincinnati are the same record as the Raiders, they would lose the tiebreak with the Chiefs just a half back. The Colts and Pittsburgh see 6 and 7, keeps you in it in the AFC. Have the fortunes of the Cleveland Browns ever changed? In November, they had a firm grip on the AFC Central. Now one more slip, and they could be, to quote the rock group, the Eagles, they could be already gone. And Tommy, Bud Carson, at this point, is going to try anything to zip up the offense. He's trying to wake up the echoes of the offense by going to South Bend. That's where you found him, right?
They were not easy to find, Chris. You know, as a veteran of 14 years in the NFL, one of the first rules of thumb you learn is don't be awed by the facility. Now, I prided myself in having an understanding of that philosophy. But as we came upon the Notre Dame campus, this week something happened. The same something that Coach Bud Carson is hoping will happen to his Cleveland Browns.
There's no question that we are not in sync and that we're making entirely too many mistakes.
No doubt about it. Something is amiss in Cleveland. The once potent attack of the Browns has stagnated. The offense hasn't scored a touchdown in 6 quarters, and last week against Cincinnati, the Browns were shut out at home for the first time since 1977. For the first time in a long while, the Browns are making the kind of mistakes a playoff team isn't supposed to make.
We're not going very good. Why, I don't know. We're not putting any points on the board, so we can't beat anybody that way. It's been an unbelievable bad, I don't want to say run of bad luck, but it's an unbelievable combination of bad things that we've managed to let happen to us, whether it be penalties, turnovers, and we're just not a good enough. We never have been a good enough football team to overcome those things.
Offense is based on continuity. You know, you can have 9 players do their job right and 1 player do something wrong, and the play will not be a successful play.
Which is just the opposite of
defense. Exactly.
Inclement weather and bad footing in Cleveland has brought the Browns to the University of Notre Dame. The Loftus Sports Center, an indoor facility, will act as their temporary home as they try to get the offense back in sync. But all physical preparation aside, you have to believe there's more to the Browns' move to the Golden Dome.
This is it for us. I mean, we've been 3 weeks floundering around, and if we don't do something this week, I don't know if we'll ever do it. So we're putting all our eggs in one basket and coming here, and I think our players, just by coming here, have a feeling this is not a normal week.
Bernie Kosar in the passing game has been struggling. He's been fighting a sore elbow and lack of continuity with his receivers. Although not at 100%, the Browns plan on making running back Kevin Mack a bigger part of the offense this week. With only one carry for minus yardage this year, the Browns are pulling out all stops to add spark to a sagging offense.
Maybe another week or two, and after getting into another game or so, and just getting beat on a little bit, I think I'll be ready then.
Beyond today's trip to Indianapolis, it doesn't get any easier for the Browns. The Vikings and divisional foe Houston remain between the Browns and the playoffs.
We are one drive from getting this thing back in sync. You know, if we get the ball in the first drive against Indianapolis and drive it down and score, then we'll be back on track.
Do you have to get back on track this week?
We have to. If not, Ozzie Newsome will be home for Christmas.
You know, one thing that Bud Carson wanted to accomplish was to regain some intensity from his team. I think he did that. They had this week what they call their most spirited practice of the year, and I think they'll play well today. The one thing I think all fans, me included, are still wondering about is how serious is Bernie Kosar's injury.
And they are going up against my favorite running back, Eric Dickerson. And I've made up a highlight film over the night of Eric Dickerson's best runs of the year. Oh, if you blinked, you missed it. He's only had 2 runs over 20 yards all year, and they were both 21. Keep it up, Eric.
You and he getting together for Christmas, Axe? I thought so. Talk about some other teams who have had change of fortunes this season. A year ago, Seattle won the AFC West, met the AFC Central champion Bengals in the playoffs. This year, the Seahawks are nowhere. The Bengals need outside help for a playoff berth. Now, in that 21-13 playoff win on New Year's Eve by the Bengals, Stanley Wilson had 3 touchdowns. He's gone. Ickey Woods had 123 yards. He's gone. Only James Brooks is still there from that rushing attack that amassed 254 yards, and he is playing hurt today. Cincy is one back of the Oilers, who they host next week. But Houston's other 2 games are in the house of pain, including today against Tampa Bay, whose hearts were broken at the gun last week by the Packers. Speaking of the Pack, Upper Wisconsin was hopping all week as we take our usual journey around the NFL.
Last Sunday night at Green Bay's Austin Struble Field, Packer fans welcomed the team plane after their latest one-point win at Tampa Bay. It's crunch time in Buffalo, and after the Monday night loss at Seattle, Jim Kelly was not exactly tickled with the play calling.
It's not just players on the field. It goes into the coaching staff, too. And everybody, when you win as a team. That includes, the staff. And you lose as a team. Whether it's getting better plays called or what the situation is, we all have to look inside ourselves and see what we have to get done.
Done for at least this week is Bobby Hebert, benched by Saints coach Jim Mora for today's game at Buffalo in favor of John Fourcade.
I don't think it's Bobby's fault. I just think they want to make a decision that trying to see if another quarterback can do the job. I'm not saying I'm the answer to it. They may think that maybe just me going in there might spark something.
Speaking of quarterbacks, ex-Heisman Trophy winner and current Duke coach Steve Spurrier has been spurred on by contact with both the Falcons and Cardinals for their coaching vacancies. One of football's most famous pictures, this 1964 photo of Giants quarterback Y.A. Tittle after taking a hit from Steelers defensive end John Baker. That was their last meeting until Monday in Raleigh, North Carolina, when Tittle appeared at a fundraiser to help Baker's re-election bid as Wake County Sheriff. Some diplomacy from the NFL office, who admitted that Ben Dreit's crew mistakenly gave Houston an extra timeout with 1:14 to go in the first half Sunday at Pittsburgh. The 4th timeout helped the Oilers score before halftime on this Warren Moon to Drew Hill snowball, and Houston ended up winning by 7. This week, the Oilers are in the House of Pain, named for their kamikaze special team and defensive style of play. But don't overlook the offensive linemen.
We always look for trouble in the House of Pain. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. But we are the bad boys, and we dish out pain. So if you want to play rough, then we all gain. We're the bad boys. We're the bad boys. Our middle name is Misery. We're the bad boys. We're gonna bring you to your name.
Another Pontiac First is ready for delivery. The first 4-door version of Grand Prix style and performance. The new Grand Prix Sport Sedan. You've gotta drive it. Get on the Pontiac and ride it, Pontiac ride it. The exciting new 4-door Grand Prix. You've got to check it out. See your dealer about early buyer and other incentives now in the new Grand Prix Sports Sedan.
Send up a crossbud. Give me an app check.
There's a place in the friendly skies where not everyone's so friendly.
Stop. Hold it. I need 3 hours minimum. Check it out.
Over 9,000 mechanics of United Airlines work
Give
here.
me a mini grinder.
They're picky, fussy, stubborn. But if you fly, they're the best friends you'll ever have. United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
If your pictures suffer from red eye, there's a better way to clear it up. The new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye.
Okay. But just suppose another tornado rips up our Meadville plant. Then what? Or suppose we have a string of accidents, like we did in '86. Suppose I get sick again. Would another insurance company come through like the people from the Hartford? I doubt it. And after 14 years, this fella is not about to find out.
When you need us most, we're at our best. The Hartford.
NFL Gameday is sponsored by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. By United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies. And by Olympus, makers of 35mm cameras and video.
All of us were stunned yesterday when we learned that Philadelphia quarterbacks coach Doug Scoville died of a heart attack while working at a Veterans Stadium. While riding the exercise bicycle at around noon, the 62-year-old Scoville apparently was stricken, fell to the floor, where he was found face down a short while later by tight end Dave Little. Trainers tried to revive him with CPR. They were unsuccessful. Scoville coached football for 35 years with stints at Navy, Brigham Young, was head coach at San Diego State, several stops in the NFL. Our deepest sympathies go out to his wife Enid and their 3 children. In Buffalo, the Bills close out their home season at Rich Stadium against New Orleans today. The Bills' loss on Monday night brought back to the surface some old wounds about play calling and a possible question internally between offensive and defensive units. What better place to get healthy than tropical Rich Stadium, where they have gone 15-1 over the past 2 seasons. Cornelius Bennett not expected to play today. Shane Conlon is expected to play today. One back of the Bills in the AFC East are the Dolphins, who tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time this evening on ESPN host the New England Patriots. Now, Miami was 7-4, but after 2 straight losses, they're in reverse and are hoping to reverse a trend that's seen the Patriots beat them 7 of the last 8 times. Although Miami's win in this streak was earlier this year, back in Week 2. Now, back then, New England was still reeling from a preseason that, instead of preparing them for a possible run at the playoffs, virtually ended the season before it ever got out of the garage. Here's Jimmy Roberts.
Hard to believe that this was a happy and hopeful team just a year ago. Winners of 6 of their last 8 games. In the playoff hunt until the season's final day. With the NFL's Rookie of the Year, John Stevens, and the league's 5th best defense. But my, how things changed. The Patriots were erased from the playoff picture after just 12 weeks. Once formidable defense is now ranked 20th in the NFL. And interest and attendance have waned in Foxborough.
So what is it that brought the New England Patriots to this point? So far from the optimistic note which last season ended on? Well, it wasn't the preseason holdout of 2 key players, Irving Fryer or Hartley Dykes, no. And it wasn't even the usual quarterback controversy, which, as usual, enveloped this team this year. No, according to most people, the season here ended before it even got started. September 1st, 1989, in the last preseason game against the Green Bay Packers.
Before the day was done, the season was over for defensive mainstays Garen Barris, Ronnie Lepet, and Andre Tippett. All 3 are expected back next year, but for now, they each must watch and wait.
It's been pretty rough. I've been handling it though, but it's just been hard. You know, I try to watch the games, can't watch the games. You kind of feel guilty. You know, you sit around, you're watching, and you see, geez, I could be out there helping these guys.
While Tippett stays away, Varys can't seem to. Although for the time being, he's been reduced to ceremonial pregame celebrity, designated autographer, and cheerleader.
I kind of told myself at first when it happened that I really didn't want to come down here and be on the field because
be too painful, but, you know, just if you're away from it, you really want to get back out there and be part of it.
Yeah, first, I really could not deal with it at all. I would come to the games and leave first quarter.
Lippett tore his Achilles tendon, a pain he says felt like he was hit with a bat. That hasn't been the worst of it.
The mental part is really, you know, getting to me. I think that I haven't been sleeping well at night, and my wife has been helping me out tremendously. All the hell that she has caught by me dealing with the injury is I'm glad that I married her.
So the optimism and promise of 1989 quickly dissolved into a disappointing season. It gave rise to what is quickly becoming a familiar cry in New England. Wait until next year. With the Patriots, I'm Jimmy Roberts for NFL Game Day.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. Really rough to take an all-pro linebacker out, a guy who could be all-pro at defensive end and arguably your best cornerback and go of the season. But the Patriots have spurred a couple of upsets this year. They beat Houston for one. They beat Buffalo. You see the Patriots in Miami tonight at 8 o'clock here on ESPN. But right now we've got games this afternoon, and that leads us to Mr. 60% himself, the Axe. You're enjoying a heck of a year. You weren't injured early, and you're coming on strong. What do you got?
Chris, alert the media. The Jets have covered 2 straight games for the first time since Leon Hess invented self-service gas stations. Today, they're favored by 1.5 at home against the Steelers. Can they complete this trifecta? Of course not. The Jets are the worst home favorite since Germany before the Normandy invasion. Try 3-16 in that role. That's the edge. Steelers plus the 1.5. I'm sure students of the Normandy invasion also know that the Steelers have won their last 4 as dogs against the Jets. The Bills are 6.5 over the Saints, a team that seems to be ready to check in their luggage. Let's get some holiday cheer and bet against Forcade. Bills minus the 6.5. The Packers, they're taken to win. They tend to win by 1. They're favored by 3 today against the Chiefs. It doesn't take a calculus major, which I'm certainly not, to figure out the Chiefs are the play plus the 3. The Bears are 6.5 over the Lions. These are clubs going in opposite directions. I'll take a ride with Detroit plus the 6.5. After all, the dog is 5-0 in bare home games against teams that are based in domes. I'm sure everyone knows that. Yes. You know I hate to lay major points, but I have to today. Tampa Bay is coming off the heartbreaking loss. Now they face the House of Pain. The Oilers are favored by 8.5. They'll win by 20. Stat of the week, the home team has covered 6 straight third-to-last Tampa Bay games in non-strike years. Back to you, Chris.
Hax, by the way, this is just in. The weather today in Normandy, 42 degrees, slightly cloudy with a 10-mile-an-hour breeze from the south. What's the weather elsewhere around the NFL? Will there be any teams dashing through the snow with a one-horse open sleigh? Take a look. We'll be back.
Smooth, cold-aged Genesee. It's not just a beer, it's a Jenny.
Hello, I'm Ken Wilson. Our good people have always sold great trucks, and they keep getting better. But our customers, well, they never change. They come to Ken Wilson Chevrolet knowing what truck they want, and they expect us to deliver it at a fair price. Our good people get the job done for Southern Tier truck buyers. So when our customers say we're good people to buy a truck from, it's the best advertising we can get. Good people, good truck, good deal. We can save you money.
U.S. women's skier Diane Roffey won a silver medal in Park City, Utah, and will be traveling to Vail with gold in her sights. Don't miss the women's giant slalom. World Cup skiing, Sunday at 6 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Welcome back to NFL Game Day. Quick, name the best football team playing in the Meadowlands. Well, you base it on the last 2 weeks. The Jets, they're 2-0. The Giants are 0-2. The Gotham Green juggernaut hosts the Steelers in, as Axe already told you, a classic. Jets have the worst defense in the NFL. The Steelers' offense ranks dead last. Jets lineman Dan Alexander, one of the Jets, one of the very few Jets to have played more years at Shea than he has at the Meadowlands, says he'll retire at season's end after 13 years. Pat Ryan to start today for the Jets. Tony Eason to dress for the first time as a Jet. The Washington Redskins' playoff hope could be summed up by our friend Huey Lewis because they're walking on a thin line. But if they win all three, they'd be 10-6, and they would have a shot. Today at RFK, Joe Gibbs welcomes old friend Dan Henning, who twice served stints as Gibbs' assistant with the Redskins before first going on to coach the Falcons, then going on to coach San Diego. Another team that can't afford to stumble, the Raiders. They're trying to make it 6-0 at home under Art Shell today in their home finale before they hit the road for the last two tilts. They're home against Phoenix. If they win them all, the Raiders will be in the playoffs. And joining us now, Fred Edelstein, the publisher of the Fred Edelstein Pro Football Letter. Today's letter, C, the Cardinals. A few weeks ago, you said Fritz Shermer was the front runner for the head coaching vacancy. Is he still?
Well, Chris, apparently Fritz Shermer and the Cardinals are talking because Shermer is telling people that he feels very good about his situation and he thinks he could get this job. I'm told that Shermer really wants this job because he believes it's his last chance at 57 to get an NFL head coaching job. The interesting thing here is that my sources say that Shermer believes his main competition for this job is former Chiefs coach John Mackovic, who is now the head coach and athletic director at Illinois.
Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns. Tommy went out to South Bend. The real question, of course, Bernie Kosar and his elbow injury. What's the condition? How bad is it?
Well, it's no secret that Kosar has a sore elbow. But the big news here is that sources very close to Kosar are telling me that this is an injury that could end his career. This is the injury that Kosar hurt in the season opener against Kansas City last year, which forced him to miss 6 games, and he has not been the same since. Now, the reason that this injury has affected Kosar so much is his unique sidearm throwing motion. When Kosar throws, all the torque goes into his elbow. He doesn't put pressure on his shoulder like most NFL quarterbacks do. Last year when he hurt this elbow, it severely damaged the tendons in there, and it's obvious that now this situation is deteriorating.
Freddie, now we're making you a doctor. What can be done?
Well, I'm not a doctor, but it doesn't look very good. He could have an operation, but with the pressure that he puts on his elbow, that would be a high-risk option. He tried resting it during the off-season, but the wear and tear of the games and the kind of hits that he took in Seattle a few weeks ago breaks it down, which is what we're seeing right now.
Now, Bertie signed a contract extension for 6 years worth $15 million. Doesn't even kick in until next year. What's the status of the contract with this injury?
Well, the tough part for Kosar in this thing could be the money. I've learned that the Browns have insured this entire extension with Lloyd's of London, but the catch here is that this injury is not included in its coverage because Lloyd's standard policy is to not include past injuries in its coverage. And Kosar signing this deal earlier last year, he had already heard it before he signed the deal. It is my understanding that Kosar's contract is guaranteed for 2 years against injury, when he'll make about $3 million of the $15 million extension. If that's so, and this injury does wind up ending his career, it could cost Kosar between $11 and $12 million.
Okay. Think about the money. He's one of the nice people in the game and one of the winners. Let's hope that he gets over the injury and keeps on playing well.
Absolutely.
Now, where, you might ask, will you be watching the TV games today? I can now reveal this is where you can watch it. We'll be back.
If ever a name stood for a flat-out performance and excitement, it's Bonneville. This place and this car. Fast, powerful, and true to its name. Bonneville from Pontiac.
In response to popular demand, we proudly introduce the Nikon Teletouch 300, a camera that significantly reduces red eye.
Got to go back to 1983 to remember the last time the Bears were out of the playoff hunt with 3 weeks to go in the season. But that's their lot after they've lost 7 of their last 9 because they hosted a Detroit team that they blasted by 20 way back in Week 3. Chicago has given up 65 points the last 2 weeks in losses. Well, the Lions have won their last 2 games. Tom's not going to start today for the Bears, but he could split the time with Jim Harbaugh at quarterback. Now, up the pike in Minneapolis, the NFC Central leading Vikings host a Falcons team that mercifully is playing their last road game of the season. Atlanta 0-7 out of Georgia. They're playing a Minnesota squad that's won its last 12 in the Dome. Also at 8-5 are America's team, the Cardiac Packers, in their home closer against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Packers' numbers are legendary. They have 8 wins, 7 by 4 points or less, 4 wins by 1 point. The Pack finish out at Chicago and at Dallas, while Minnesota should apply for admission to the AFC Central as they close at Cleveland and home against Cincinnati on Christmas night in the final Monday nighter and game of the season. Now, we make this deal every year with Kansas City Chiefs owner Lamar Hunt. Go over 500, we'll never call the Chiefs the Chefs. Win today, and the Chefs are history. And win they might, thanks to a rejuvenated defense. Here's Andrea Kramer.
The Kansas City Chiefs have never led the American Football Conference in defense. That is, until now. There's been progressive improvement in the run defense this season, while the passing defense has remained at its traditional level of excellence. There have been 6 defensive coordinators in the past 6 years, and the players believe this system is best suited to their immense talents.
Last year, Rod Russ was our coordinator. It was more of a read and react type of defense, whereas this year it's more of an attacking defense where guys understand their responsibilities before the snap of the ball and just go after people.
The Chiefs are pretty active in the acquisition of Plan B free agents, such as Dan Salamua, who has capably replaced injured nose guard Bill Moss, as well as former Viking Walker Lee Ashley, who, along with Chris Martin and Dino Hackett, has enabled the linebacking core to make the greatest improvement. They use a lot of situation substitution, but first-round draft pick Derek Thomas lines up in every defensive formation. And with a rookie record 10 sacks already to his credit, he's given the Chiefs their most dominant outside threat since Hall of Famer Bobby Bell.
There's nothing that I can't do. I can apply pressure on the quarterback. I can chase backs. I can do everything that I need to do. There hasn't been anybody that could really stop me coming off the corner for a quarter. So my quickness against their size and strength, my quickness wins out 75% of the time so far. You know, I'm going to try to increase that.
The Chiefs rank in the bottom quarter in the NFL in sacks and takeaways, 2 key statistics which usually measure the effectiveness of a defense. But the one number which really stands out is that only one of their opponents this entire season has gained more than 300 yards of total offense.
After every game, you know, each defense player is looking at the other one saying, how many yards did they get, you know? And usually we look up at the screen and say they only got like 174 yards, you know, in the second half. And, you know, they didn't get 300, you know, we come in on Monday, look at film, you know, 300 yards.
You can't say anything for confidence right now. They believe it's going out there that teams shouldn't make first downs and teams shouldn't score.
The litmus test for this defense should come against Green Bay, when Marty Schottenheimer opposes his former offensive coordinator from Cleveland, current Packer head coach Lindy Infante, and the NFL's second-ranked passing offense collide with the second-ranked passing defense.
The anticipation of getting ready to play Lindy, frankly, is more exciting to me than Cleveland, quite honestly, because this is a real chess match because, you know, we know each other so well and we know the offenses and one thing else. So it's really a chess match.
You know, when Marty left the Browns after last season, there was a big question about him not being able to call the plays or the offensive question. But Marty has always been a defensive coach. And Tommy, really no surprise that Kansas City has made the move here with defense. And when he took over the Chiefs, Schottenheimer told me way back in March that they remind me of Cleveland a little bit. I can rely on my defensive backs and do other things with the people up front.
Well, they certainly are a force, and the fact is that they have leadership now at the 3 defensive positions. They've always had it in the defensive backfield with Cherry, but now they've got it from Derek Thomas at the linebacker spot and from Neil Smith on the defensive line.
Yeah, Neil Smith finally paying some dividends in a big way these last few weeks. Since 1973, both the Chiefs and Packers have made the playoffs only once, but back in the 1966 season, these two were the behemoths of football. And they made pro football history in the Super Bowl before it was even called the Super Bowl. Do you remember? Curiosity, the AFL against the NFL for the first time, as Hank's Rams Chiefs got a first-hand look at Vince Lombardi's Packers. As usual, Bart Starr, money in a money game. But in this one, his favorite target was Max McGee, who caught only 4 passes all year long. But on this sun-drenched afternoon, the veteran duo hooked up 7 times for a pair of scores. The Chiefs trailed only 14-10 at the half and were on the move early in the third quarter until Henry Jordan jarred Len Dawson. Willie Wood made the interception and scampered 50 yards, setting up an Elijah Pitts touchdown. The Packers were the world champs, 35-10.
John Elway's quarterback for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Choose an opponent. Then get set for the pad-cracking action. Outthink the competition using real football strategy. It's realistic football strategy, action, and graphics.
What's all the noise? It's just the game, Mom. Oh.
So get in the game with John Elway's quarterback. Trade West, we put you in the action. And coming soon, Magic Johnson's Fast Break and Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime. And we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
The spectacle of Bowl Week returns. 2 surprising teams clash when Steve Spurrier leads Duke against Texas Tech at the All-American Bowl. Penn State's Blair Thomas and BYU's Ty Detmer set off an offensive explosion at the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. And surging Clemson tries to shut down Major Harris and West Virginia at the Mazda Gator Bowl. The sight, sounds, and spectacle of Bowl Week is live on ESPN.
Coming off their emotional win over the Giants, the Eagles now control the NFC East. Now, normally, this week's home game against Dallas might be a look-past affair, but not now. Now with the Cowboys saying that the Eagles are football's version of the quicker picker-uppers, i.e. the Bounty Boys. Now, the league ruled Friday on the Cowboys' charges that the Eagles had a bounty out on Luis and Dejas and others. What's the story?
Well, Chris, the league chose to see no evil. But it's a funny thing. When I talk to people in both camps of these teams, I heard some evil thoughts.
One question on the so-called big play. Was Jesse Small hunting for the head and the bounty, or was Luis making a timid approach at the knees?
I went after him to block him, and he got hurt. And I'm not proud of him getting hurt or anything. I was just playing ball.
And did you have a conversation with him after the game?
Had a conversation, had a say in the end zone right there. And he said, Luis, I had to do what I had to do. Buddy sent me. I had to do it, and, you know, that's my job.
Bounties? Some say they've been in football forever. But who better to enter the eye of this particular storm than Buddy Ryan?
But all that happened, Louis kicked off. Instead of going down the middle of the field like most kickers do and shatter the ball, he comes over to the right. Jesse comes across, misses the L3 or whatever it was he had to block, and here comes Louis. And he sees him. He's a football player. And like Jesse said, it was his brother he tried to hit him. But what happened, Louis goes at him and tries to take his knee out, Jesse tries to jump him, hits him in the head with his knee, gets up, runs on down the field, and that's it. That is all there is to it. Now, if you make a big deal out of something like that, boy, you're really something.
Zendejas' accusations may not hold water, but according to punter Mike Saxon, his premonitions may be sharp.
Just the fact that he did mention it to him before the game was just something that, you know, when it did happen, made me think that, wow, I wonder if they really did.
The next chapter. Zendejas makes the hottest secret tape since Rosemary Woods put the gap in the Nixon-Watergate tapes.
For some reason, he thought that the conversation needed taping. And after a 20-minute conversation a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, you do forget what you said. So I don't think there's anything damaging on there. In fact, I believe there isn't.
It was just a whole conversation about him just trying to tell me why he didn't want me to tell the truth because of his job, and because they got to go out there and try to save their jobs is what their things are. And if they have to lie, that's what they're going to do.
He says that I admitted to some things. I think that at least once or twice on the conversation, I said, no, Luis, there was no bounty on you or Saxon or Aikman. But he believes or thinks so, and I told him at one time in the conversation, I said, look, I don't need my name drugged through this thing like this. I mean, this is very poor for me. There's only so many jobs.
Somehow the truth will come, because someday he will get cut, or one of the coaches will get cut, or a player will get cut. Right now, their players are just more secure than they ever were. I tell you that, because if they get cut, they will come and tell the truth.
No, the Eagles haven't erected this statue outside the vet in honor of Luis Zendejas, their former kicker. In fact, this week, the lose will probably change to booze. But the real question is, who will get kicked the worst?
I don't know who he can sue. I don't know for what. I'm the guy that's going to end up suing because we talk about damaging a character damaging. You're talking about a conversation on a personal line and invasion of privacy, slander, libel. I'm the one that's going to do the suing.
There's no attorneys going to get involved in the game. There might be some psychiatrists get involved in it. Sounds to me like.
I predict that Zendejas may approach a land speed record getting off the field after his kickoffs today. But by the way, when did they pass a rule that you can't block a guy who's just kicked off? Fred, I'm sure your sources have some more information on the Zendejas soap opera.
Well, Ax, we may be hearing more from Zendejas later today. You know, when the league found out about the possible existence of the tape, NFL security chief Warren Welsh called Zendejas and asked him to release the tape. Zendejas said no because his lawyer advised him against it. On Friday afternoon, when the league made the announcement on the ruling, Zendejas called up immediately and complained about the procedure. About 2 hours later, Zendejas' lawyer called and threatened the league with a suit against the NFL for something called faulty investigation. The lawyer told the league that Zendejas would be holding a press conference after today's game, either in Philadelphia or in Texas upon his return. I don't know if we'll see that press conference, but that's what they're threatening right now.
Kickoff time, 1 o'clock at the vet. Cowboys at the Eagles. And while the Eagles and Cowboys try to sort out their emotions, the Giants try to pick up the pieces after 2 straight losses in a tough place to do it, Denver's Mile High Stadium. The Giants must sweep their last 3 games to really have any shot at their division now, but they do finish with a pair at home, the Cowboys and the Raiders. Philly must beware of next Monday night at New Orleans before their home closer with the Cards. Denver, of course, needs only 1 win down the stretch to cinch home field for the rest of the playoffs. LT, again, will give it a shot. Plans to go the whole route for the Giants, but we shall see. He and his Giants mates more than just gave it a shot in their last meeting against the Broncos in the Rose Bowl. Super Bowl 21. Sorry, Tom. It was supposed to be John Elway's showcase, but instead, it was a pair of ones. Number 11, Phil Simms. The Giants grabbed a 7-3 lead in the first quarter when Simms hit Zeke Mowat from 6 yards out, but he was just warming up. Down 10-9 at the half, the Giants jumped on top to stay quickly in the third when Simms spread the wealth to Mark Bavaro. Simms would complete 10 straight passes and go 22 of 25 for 268 yards en route to the MVP trophy. Everything Simms threw ended up in the right hands. And for the first time since 1956, the Giants were champions, bucking the Broncos 39-20.
Pronto, the fastest growing name in auto parts today. Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices.
Some people take chances on car maintenance, but I don't. For more than 40 years, I've been sticking with the same brand of auto parts and never been stuck. AC Delco. For my money, you just can't beat them, no matter what kind of car or truck you drive.
When you need to know about auto parts, ask the pro at Pronto.
Lately, Showtime's made some overinflated claims. They say they have big movies, but it's really HBO that has 8 out of 10 of the year's top films. It's like Rain Man, Coming to America, The Naked Gun. Movies you just won't see on Showtime. And you won't see Mike Tyson on Showtime either, because HBO's got him, along with nearly twice as many original programs. So considering all the facts, nobody brings it home like HBO.
The original, the shower massage by Teledyne Waterpick.
Oh, no. Oh, come on. Oh, look at the... Oh, not the dog, too.
The new Olympus Infinity Zoom 200. The zoom camera that significantly reduces red eye.
I see myself going right through his numbers and right over his back. There's no way I'm going to let one guy bring me down. This is a game that I'm going to just explode.
To receive your NFL catalog, send $1 to 5550 North Elston Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60630.
On Monday night, the Los Angeles Rams will try to duplicate their Week 4 13-12 win over the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the graph of the Rams season is more undulations than Dolly Parton. They won 5 straight, they lost 4 straight, they won 4 straight. But the graph of the 49ers and their all-pro receiver, Jerry Rice, is even more constant, climbing, climbing, and climbing until it's almost off the top of the charts. Not bad for a man who looked me straight in the eye and told me he was scared stiff of not getting drafted back in 1985. We're not talking about getting drafted in the first round. We're talking about getting drafted at all.
What if you could combine the speed of Bob Hayes, the precision and hands of Raymond Berry, the inside toughness of Fred Biletnikoff, and the grace and acrobatics of Lynn Swann?
What would you have if you could combine all those attributes in one player? Well, you'd have a fictional character, because there's no way that anybody could have all those traits and be a real live human being. And maybe there's one exception. Since we're standing here with the 49ers, the name Jerry Rice comes to mind.
Think about it. We haven't even reached the next decade yet, and he's already being called the receiver of the 90s, or even the receiver of the 21st century.
When people call you the best, in some ways you must say, coming from them, you take that as a real compliment, but in other ways, are you almost embarrassed by it?
It's a great compliment, but it's a little scary.
He goes along in a ball game, and you never hear from him, and all of a sudden he's there. Now, it takes a mental toughness to play that type of football.
You know, for a guy like myself who appreciates the finer aspects of playing wide receiver, Jerry Rice is fun to watch.
At this point in his career, on the verge of being considered, I think, with the very top receivers who have played for all time.
The thing about me, I'm having fun out there on the football field. And it's something I'm enjoying. I'm not just in it to break records. The most important thing to me is to win.
But if you're wondering about the records, how does he stack up with the all-time best? Don Hutson played 11 years in the 30s and 40s. Steve Largent is winding down his illustrious 14-year career. Rice is just finishing his 5th season. Here's where they stand. Now, if Rice were to play, say, 3 more years, an easy assumption, he would own the NFL mark for touchdown catches. Let's make it 6 more seasons, an 11-year career. He'd also own the league record for yards receiving, while his touchdown total would start to get out of hand. And if he played 7 more seasons, 12 years overall, Rice would be the standard bearer in all the major categories. Number of catches, yardage, and his touchdown total would be an astronomical 161. But remember, 2 years ago, he already set the single-season mark for touchdown catches with 22. For Jerry Rice, the end zone is truly the promised land.
When I'm about to score something like that, I hear nothing. I only focus in on the football. You can be pulling on me. I can't feel it. I just lock in on football.
It sounds and looks so easy. Why?
The hands. It's a gift. It's a gift, and it's something I realized I had, and I just worked at it to bring it out. And now I feel anything that comes my direction, I can catch. There's no doubt in my mind.
You just got to get the ball in the vicinity, and he's gonna find a way to get to it. So he makes my job easy and enjoyable.
You're thinking all the time, when do I put it in this gear, when do I put it in this gear, or is that just natural reflex?
Well, I would say it's something I work on every week. I know exactly how I'm going to really run my pattern before the game. I know when to explode on the defensive back, and I guess that's the reason why I get so much separation.
Never was this more front and center than in Super Bowl 23, when the 49ers needed every one of his 11 catches and record 215 yards to beat the Bengals. But despite being named the MVP, Rice was portrayed as being upset over his relative lack of publicity.
You know, you dream about winning the MVP. And I think everybody got caught up in the commotion of Bill Walsh might retire, Joe Montana might win his third MVP, and they forgot about Jerry. But it's not all about the money. It's just a recognition of the MVP.
Every day he walks on the football field, he comes to work, regardless of if he's hurt or if he's tired. He's the type of guy that gives 110%.
I feel like I'm not at my peak right now, and it's more to come from Jerry Rice. I'm serious.
I believe Ronnie Lott, and Jerry is absolutely serious, because Ronnie Lott calls him the Michael Jordan of football. And as Rice gets better, nobody is prouder than Bill Walsh, who knew that Rice was special when he traded up to draft him back in 1985. Rice told me that Walsh was like a father to him and made me, quote, the player and the person that I am today. It's pretty good. So Jerry Rice may own all the receiving figures one day. There are some others this season that you should know about. Take a look.
Has there ever been a more prolific duo at wide receiver than the Steelers' Lynn Swann and John Stallworth? Most prolific this season, not Jerry Rice and John Taylor, but the Redskins tandem of Art Monk and Ricky Sanders, who have each snagged 66 passes. They lead the Niners pair by 15 catches heading into Week 14. In fact, the top 4 dynamic duos all reside in the NFC, with the Packers and the Bucs both doing their share of wreaking havoc in opposing secondaries. But the Redskins can go one better, because they have a terrific trio, as Gary Clark's 59 catches mean that he, Monk, and Sanders have a combined 191 snares among them. In Houston, the Red Gun offense features 4 wideouts, all who have at least 33 catches. But that doesn't impress the 49ers, who have 4 different players with at least 43 catches. One of them, Tom Rathman, is the fullback. He leads all non-wideouts in the receiving department, with the Eagle Keith Byers, and Keith Jackson tied for the second spot, 13 snags behind.
Which publication tells you about hundreds of great jobs open across the country right now? High-paying professional, managerial, and technical jobs. The National Business Employment Weekly. Which publication helps you land one of those jobs with articles on how to sharpen your resume, how to shine in interviews, how to market yourself. The National Business Employment Weekly. Which publication helps you do better after you land a great job? Get along with your boss, get a raise, get promoted. The National Business Employment Weekly, published by the Wall Street Journal. It's all you need besides your own ability to land and do well in the kind of job you've been looking for, in a part of the country you'll enjoy at a salary you can be proud of. It's all you need.
Get the National Business Employment Weekly at your newsstand, or order by credit card and get 8 issues by first-class mail for $35. Call 800-372-3000. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
Baseball has the position of catcher, in which the player's equipment are called the tools of ignorance. Tommy, perhaps football's equivalent of the catcher is the tight end.
Well, from the origins of the position until the present day, tight end may be the strangest position on the field. To understand what I mean, all you need do is look it up. They combine the brute force of an offensive lineman while illustrating the finesse of a wide receiver. They are a rare breed, a strange species, professional football's tight end.
A guy that's big enough and physical enough to block like a tackle and have the speed and hands to run and catch like a wide receiver.
And it really takes a great athlete to be able to do all of those things.
Tight ends toiled in anonymity until the 1960s as burly blockers were gradually phased into their team's passing attack. Mike Ditka, who remains the only tight end to be enshrined in Pro Football's Hall of Fame, added a new dimension to the Bears' offense, while Baltimore's John Mackey gave Johnny Unitas yet another target.
Well, as soon as you start featuring the tight end, then you can't double team on everyone. Then it frees up Wayne and Barry, then it frees up Jimmy Orr, and now they got to cover everyone. I think it just evolved. I think I was with the passing team that saw an opportunity and took advantage of it.
But it was over a decade later that more teams took full advantage of tight ends as primary receiving targets as they became main facets of offensive schemes. All of a sudden, tight ends became part of football lore. It was Dave Casper's Ghost to the Post, Kellen Winslow's heroic 81 playoff performance, and ironically, Jackie Smith's drop in Super Bowl 13 that thrust tight ends into the spotlight.
And finally, coaches started to realize that we can exploit the middle of the field, and we need to be able to do that. So the tendency was to go out and find yourself a tall tight end, someone who could run and who was a good receiver, and try to exploit that.
We were brought in to affect the deep part of that zone, to say you can no longer try to cover us with a linebacker because we're going to be able to get into the deep part of the secondary.
In 1983, a trio of tight ends, Todd Christensen, Kellen Winslow, and Ozzie Newsome, led the league in receptions. But as the decade comes to a close, the tight end role as a receiver has diminished. Even finding one is difficult. Since 1987, only 15 tight ends have been chosen in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft.
In the college ranks right now, most defensive coordinators are going with your 2 deep. And in order to handle that, you need somebody who can threaten the deep middle area. And the only way to get that is from a wide receiver, not necessarily a tight end. That's why the colleges are phasing out the normal, everyday tight ends.
It was my first pro basketball game to ever be there in person. And as soon as I sat down and started looking at them, I thought to myself, that's where all the tight ends are.
It's easy to develop yourself as a basketball player. You just go out on the back lot and do it, as opposed to a football player. And so I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of guys of the style we're looking for.
So for every Keith Jackson, there are a host of teams whose tight end represents an era gone by. The position may be evolving back to its modest beginnings.
I saw it go from one extreme to do a complete 360 degrees and come all the way back around. And I'm glad I got a chance to be a part of when it was a throwing game, but I'm also happy that I got a chance to be a part of it, or what the true grit tight end, I guess you could say, when you think about the Jackie Smiths and the Mackeys and those type of people.
I'd like to see the tight end position evolve back to that short receiver a la Keith Jackson, what we see in Philadelphia, a guy who offers the quarterback a true outlet.
And I'll tell you what I'd like to see, John Mackey in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame's a great place. Why John Mackey isn't in, we will never know. When we return, the man the Rams go to when the game's on the line.
You hear the thunder, the call of the road. No time for wonder, you gotta go.
It's a driving experience like no other. Pontiac Grand Prix. Once you experience the 1990 Grand Prix, your approach to driving will never be the same. See your dealer about early buyer and other incentives now in the new 1990 Grand Prix.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
Face it, you never really know how demanding business is going to be. So more and more companies are choosing Konica, the copiers they know they can rely on.
Let's go, kids.
No matter what size your company, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
To be a place kicker, you have to have a keen sense of humor, because in a classic team game, this is a player who is always alone. The Rams' Mike Lansford has it all in perspective. He loves to laugh. When you kick the way he does, there's plenty to laugh about. Here's Chris Myers.
I think I have a great need to be on center stage.
The snap back, ball down, the kick is up by Lansford, and it is good.
Game-winning kicks are commonplace for the Rams' Mike Lansford. He's booted more than a dozen in 8 seasons of pro ball.
Over his career, Lansford, with the game on the line, has been nearly perfect. In fact, he hasn't missed a pressure kick since high school. It was here at Arcadia High when he missed an extra point, but from that time on, he's been pretty much on target when it's mattered most. In college and in the NFL, where the Rams know they can count on him under pressure.
He seems to rise to that occasion, and that stimulates him, where others, it puts a little too much pressure on. He seems to do his best in that kind of environment.
Well, I think greed and the love for publicity has to do with it, but a lot of it has to do with making a kick early in my career that was just tremendously huge.
That kick was in 1983. The Rams were down by a point in New Orleans, and Lansford nailed a 42-yarder on the game's final play to send his team into the playoffs on the last day of the regular season. There was also another kicker, Chuck Nelson, on the Rams sideline, trying to win his job.
Unless you're talking about a Super Bowl kick, you can't get much more pressure than that. And with every kick after that, my confidence has built, and I've been fortunate to make kicks.
Big boots have come on Monday night as time expired to beat the Bears in '86, and so on in '87 and '88. The 49ers were victims earlier this season in the closing seconds.
Step back, the ball down, the kick is up, and it is good!
Lansford was nearly a victim himself of unemployment after 3 NFL teams rejected him prior to 1982. But that was before he was a barefoot contestant. Without a tee and a blister on his foot, Lansford decided to try kicking shoeless.
By taking the shoe off, I remove the sole of the shoe, the cleats, and I strike lower on the ball, the end result being more trajectory on the ball.
It looks like a grueling workout that you go through as a kicker during the week. What's the most severe injury you've ever suffered?
Well, I think I can say it here. It's a bout with hemorrhoids that I've had to deal with from sitting on my helmet. I mean, it's tough.
How tough can it be? Lansford is a free spirit through most of practice, and even when serious strategy meetings are held with special teams coach Artie Gigantino, he's still loose.
How many shoes does a barefoot kicker wear?
Is that in church or is that at the bar?
Anywhere you want.
Don't let Lansford fool you. He's a serious student of kicking, and he actually takes it home with him. But his daughter doesn't seem to mind.
Daddy kicked the ball. It's up it. It's up it.
So he isn't your average kicker, but then he never said he was. What he does say is there's no secret to his success, just a special feeling he gets after making those pressure kicks.
You know what it is, really? It's relief. It's relief that you didn't miss.
It's a feeling he's rarely felt when it has mattered most. From Anaheim, Chris Myers, NFL Game Day.
Kick, way to win it. What's another one, Lansford? You're unbelievable.
One dry is brewed longer. One dry is brewed from the most expensive ingredients. One dry refreshes completely. One taste, and you'll know why. The One Dry is Michelob Dry.
Every year, it gets harder to keep the guys' hands off their gifts. That's because I always give them good-looking isotoner gloves. So I'm hiding them in my locker. Now they won't be grabbing these comfortable, great-fitting gloves. So take care of the hands that take care of you. But take care where you put the isotoner gloves. And now, Isotoner fans, there's a present for your feet. Isotoner's introducing slippers and socks for men. Catch them at fine stores everywhere.